Okay, hi, I'm Will Holgren, in case you didn't know. I'm taking engineering from Mr. Crash, second period, and we have this assignment to make a PowerPoint about a future job that we would like to do in the workplace involving math and science. So first, when I got this project, I had to think about who I wanted to interview, and to do that I had to think about why I wanted to do with my life. So I thought about, I knew I always wanted to do something in a math and science field, so that led me to engineering because I've always liked engineering. And I really like engineering and physics, and a combination thereof. So I've always looked at different fields within both of those to look at what I want to do with my life. I really like the studies of theories and looking at how things could have happened, how the origins of the universe, or philosophy mostly. And I never wanted to be someone who's like sitting there and just waiting for someone to come up to them and say, hey, I want this, I want to be able to do what I want to do. And then occasionally have someone come up and say, I want this product with these parameters. And I always want to be moving forward. I don't want to be stuck in one place just doing the same work over and over again. So first first time in my life when I decided I wanted to do something later in life, I decided on mechanical engineering. I've liked building things, and the definition of mechanical engineering is the branch of engineering dealing with the design and production of machinery. I've always liked building things and taking things apart, reverse engineering, figuring out how things work. I still do it today, like I take apart pens and pencils and look at how they work compared to other things. And I've always had Legos or Mega Bloks or anything else, or Transformers, and built them, and I've always liked having them. And why I wanted to do mechanical engineering is because of my childhood, all the toys that I had, and always wanting to build things. Next, electrical engineering. Definition of electrical engineering is the branch of engineering concerned with the practical applications of the theory of electricity. I liked electrical engineering because I took digital electronics with Crash last year. Some of you may know it's like one of the third-year courses you can take in PLTW, but they didn't have enough kids in the course last year, so some of the kids jumped up to DE and then came back to POE. I really liked the class. It was one of my favorite classes I've taken my entire life, required or non-required, and it made me think about all the electrical things of how you can make something work. I've always liked mechanical engineering, but adding electrical engineering to it, I can dissect something that's not just physical movement, but you can have a thing work without human interaction after a certain point. Next, theoretical physics. I've always liked theoretical physics because I've liked the philosophy of the universe and how nature works. The definition of theoretical physics is the use and creation of mathematics, such as calculus, to describe certain aspects of nature. A lot of you may know Sir Isaac Newton was the first theoretical physicist, in that he created calculus in order to make his formulas work inside of nature. It is a lot of weird formulas, such as this up here, which is finding parameters, and it is very in-depth, and I've always liked to go in-depth into science and see, predict how things could happen, how the universe started, how it could end, and other things like that. Next, astrophysics. And I've liked astrophysics mostly because of Aditya, because Diddy wanted to do aerospace engineering. And freshman year when I met Diddy, he was like, I'm going to be an aerospace engineer, and it made me think about space, going up into space, and planets, and how everything could work. And I love the idea of celestial bodies and how they interact in space. The definition of astrophysics is the branch of physics and astronomy concerned with the physical and chemical properties, origins, and evolutions of celestial bodies. I wanted to combine all of these things that I wanted to do my entire life into one thing, and I needed to figure out a way for digital and mechanical engineering to apply to theoretical astrophysics. So I came up with a couple of questions why that would work. How do we observe a certain phenomenon? If something like a supernova or a black hole occurs in our universe, how do we know it's there unless we see it? We can use technological advances in engineering to predict where something is and maybe even search for it and find it easier than just looking for it with our eyes. How can we prove certain theories? Same type of idea. If we have a theory like on dark matter in the universe, how can we prove it's there if we can't see it? Well, we can use engineering to detect certain things that we can't see. What technology do we currently have that we can use in the future for theoretical exploration? If we're looking at the origins and ends of the universe, how are we able to find it without engineering and science? For my interview, I interviewed my uncle, who's my dad's brother, Jim Helgren. He's a mechanical engineer and a systems manager of small projects, and he went to Caltech University. For the interview, I talked to him about 30 minutes on the phone, and I got a lot of questions on him. First, I asked him about his work hours. He works about 5-day weeks, starting at 8:30 in the morning to 6 at night, which is about average for most engineers, but it's actually a little bit later in the morning. He lives on the West Coast, so that's why he also gets up a little bit later, because their time, even though it's later than ours, they still work on a different timescape, and their hours, instead of starting earlier, usually end up going later than anything else, is what he said. His pay, I looked him up online. Mechanical engineers, the median salary is $78,000, and the top 10% is $119,000. While electrical engineers, what he also deals with and specializes a lot in, is the median salary of $84,000 and the top 10% of $128,000. The mechanical engineers about the bottom half of most popular engineers, while electrical engineers are about smack dab in the middle of all averages. For his work specifically, he works on small group projects rather than 100% enterprises. What he meant by that is because he's a systems manager, he usually chooses different people to work on a project for him. And he likes to have a small confined group of specialists rather than saying, I want this group of people to do one thing and this group of people to do one thing, because then there's a lot of idle work and there's not a lot of people getting things done. His philosophy with that is a hands-on application of engineering knowledge in the workplace. He needs to know as many things about engineering as he can. Since he's a mechanical engineer and a systems manager, there are so many things that he needs to know about woodworking or any type of engineering in the workplace, and any type of engineering knowledge that you could have from educational or experience, he said was the best application of that job. And he really hates it when someone is not working on a project, when they just do something and say, that's as far as I'm taking it, I'm done. Because you can always make something better, you can always improve it, you can always get something to be more efficient, easier to work with, and cleaner. And he likes taking things further all the way up to a due date and seeing how much better something can become. Next, we talked about his favorite and least favorite things in the workplace. His favorite things is the preparation process for a project. He likes using softwares and design things to create different models and drawings of the projects that he's going to be working on. One of the things I found really interesting is in his workplace he specifically talked about using engineer's notebooks, AutoCAD, and 3D SolidWorks, which are all things we use here at Friend very often. He loves using them because it gives you a lot of freedom, especially with the drawings that you can print out and you can show specific specifications on what you need, and that way it also makes it easier for people to understand your writing and how you communicate. His least favorite thing is when things don't go according to plan. When somebody messes up or somebody deliberately or accidentally does something wrong in the workplace, then it screws everybody over. He hates it when somebody doesn't pay attention to what they're doing and tries to pay attention to what someone else is doing even though that's not their job. Is the education to get to the point in his career, he said any type of engineering education would be useful. He studied mechanical engineering in college, however, he uses pretty much every single type of engineering besides petroleum and nuclear engineering in his workplace. He uses electrical, mechanical, all of it, because we need to apply things for different projects, for different people, for different manufacturers. He also said you would need basic skills in the workplace all the time. One of the projects he was just working on, he was talking about how recently they needed to make a base for something, and instead of sending it out to a wood shop, they just went to a wood shop and did it themselves because it was easier. Knowing basic skills like that is the perfect thing in his workplace, because that way you can have that hands-on application of everything that you need, and you don't need to be waiting for someone else to complete something. You can do it yourself, and then add on what other people can complete. Any engineering school, he said, would be sufficient. These are the top 6 engineering schools in the nation. He went to Caltech, which is number 3. He said that any engineering program, whether it's a big name like MIT or a really small name like ISU, either way, they will get done what you need to get done. The pictures, legal websites, and definitions. Thank you.